Welcome back. We were talking about Afghanistan, the terrorism and the situation there. You were called the mother of the Taliban. You've acknowledged this yourself. So people say that, this all started in Benazir Bhutto's time, her era, and her prime ministership. How do you respond?
Yes, some people do say that, but I think what they say is misplaced. The Taliban did not rule the roost when I was Prime Minister of Pakistan, and they were confined largely to Kandahar. They were involved with the United Nations. But after my overthrow, the Taliban changed character. If they hadn't changed character, maybe they would still have been in power today. If they'd continued to talk to the UN, if they'd built a broad-based government, if they had shown tolerance towards other political parties, tolerance towards women, tolerance towards cultural freedom, they could still have been in power. But unfortunately, after the overthrow of my government, they decided to invite in Osama bin Laden. They allowed Osama bin Laden to set up training camps, and they allowed him to recruit young men from all over the Muslim world, and they allowed him to kill Iranian diplomats and to declare war on America. And I remember that critical year very clearly because I was leader of the opposition in the Pakistani Assembly. And at that time, I called upon the government of the day to break relations with the Taliban, to tell the Taliban that either you stop this nonsense of letting your soil be used against third countries, and if you don't stop that, then you're a danger to Pakistan. And in my speech, I said that you people call this strategic depth. It's not strategic depth, it's strategic threat to Pakistan. And we must disassociate with the Taliban unless the Taliban start to disassociate with such policies. And I could see that a terrible day was coming.
Let's talk about the Waziristan situation, but before we do that, the president's recent trip to New York, promotion of his book, statements about Pakistan, In the Line of Fire. It seemed like, not sure if it was a personal promotional trip, a book promotion trip. Do you think that this befits the office of the President of Pakistan, and what are your thoughts?
Well, I haven't read the book myself yet. But at the same time, I've seen that much of the media has been highly critical of this particular tour and said that it was to launch the book. But at the same time, there has been another story playing out. And that story is about Pakistan's strained relations with the Hamid Karzai government in Kabul and the attempts by Washington to bring two key allies who are warring with each other together to find some kind of a resolution. And I think General Musharraf will go back to Islamabad with a clear message that the strained relations with Kabul are being noted all over the world. And we will have to see whether the Musharraf regime undertakes any steps that can placate Kabul. I don't think that the peace treaty is of help to Pakistan. My party has been critical of this so-called peace treaty. My party feels that there's a cycle that, you have the Pakistani army go in to try and control the situation, and then suddenly you have a ceasefire. And then again, the whole situation blows up with greater intensity. And that's the way we are looking at it. We call it the 3 R's: rest, recreation, and rearming. So we see that the cycle is going to get worse. But if 80,000 men of the Pakistani armed forces can't tackle a bunch of Afghan and Arab fighters that came initially to seek refuge in our soil, then something is deeply wrong, and we really need to go to the people of the area. I know that in Karachi, we went to the people of the area. We said, come and help us, this is your area. Come and help us save Karachi, because we can't save Karachi without the people's help. And slowly and surely people came forward. And so too in Waziristan. We've got to go to the people. And I hope it's not too late, because I've seen maps on the internet of the Waziristan Emirate, which frightens me as a Pakistani. And I've heard reports that the tribal Maliks actually mediated an agreement between the Pakistani army and between the Afghan Arabs. And I don't understand how we can cede our territory to Afghan Arabs, and I hope that's wrong. And I certainly think that this visit of General Musharraf's to Washington would have drawn attention to the tribal areas of Pakistan. And I hope that when General Musharraf goes back, the regime takes the steps that are necessary to rectify the situation. We know the Taliban were bombed out of Afghanistan, and we do not want a situation to come about when we say that we as a nation are unable to tackle this threat, because if we say that, we will invite others by creating a vacuum.
It is said that the strategic importance of Pakistan today has become such a personal issue. It goes as Musharraf goes, as it goes as the President of Pakistan goes. If he's not there, then that strategic importance no longer exists.
Some people say that, but on the other hand, there are others who point out that military dictatorships have treated Pakistan as a piece of real estate to rent out to the highest bidder. That military dictatorships have sustained themselves historically by a rentier class mentality. I mean, that's what I've seen academic reports on. So, while bird's eye view might be that this is a very personal relationship, a historic view is something different. That can the country sustain itself through rentier politics, sometimes using SEATO, sometimes using CENTO, sometimes using the Soviet occupation of Afghanistan, sometimes using Osama bin Laden to rent out a problem to get support? Or do we change direction to build the intrinsic strengths of our own country, a land that is rich in minerals, a land that is rich in history and in culture and in resources, a land which has hard-working people who have shown success, who won Nobel Peace Prizes, who've gone on to make names for themselves in academic science and mathematics. And I think that's what we've got to do. We have got to have a strong look at ourselves and see that can these rentier politics still play out? Or do we have to change our direction? And I think we need to change our direction. We need to go back to Qaid-e-Azam. We need to go back to the pluralistic, tolerant nation state that invests in its people and shows what a great Muslim nation Pakistan can become when it invests in its people.
Let's talk about its people. So the average person in Pakistan, under your leadership, under Nawaz Sharif's leadership, and under Musharraf's leadership today, they've all suffered. Basically, they are without water, they're without electricity, they're still poor, hapless, and they keep looking to these ever-changing rulers. I mean, they have nothing to look forward to. What hope do you give them?
You know something? That's a superficial view, but it's not the real view.
What?
Let me finish. The real view is that every dictatorship brought power blackdowns, whether it was Zia-ul Haq's or subsequently. But it was the PPP government that changed direction by attracting the investment through boilerplate contracts that enabled the best people to come forward and invest in energy. Energy that people were willing to invest in for 6 rupees per unit for the first 10 years and then 4 rupees per unit after that. And now the regime is begging people to come and invest with 11 rupees per unit, but nobody's coming because there's a difference in leadership. Let me point out to you that under the International Labour Organization reports, the largest number of employment took place under PPP governments. But when the PPP governments were overthrown, unemployment rose. So too with the rates of literacy, so too with the rates of poverty. So maybe we should leave these decisions of whether things are different or not different to the people of Pakistan. Because the people of Pakistan know when jobs are available for them. The people of Pakistan know when development is taking place for them. The people of Pakistan know when there's a government that comes and asks them what their problem is and tries to resolve it.